Hey everybody, it's Jesse, and I am streaming from home today. And if you saw the two other times where I tried to stream from home, you know that the quality is not good. So um, I adjusted my settings a lot. I don't expect the quality to be good, but hopefully the buffering is a little bit better. Uh, so I'm going to try to keep this a little bit short, and I'm going to do some things that are less code intensive, and there'll be more visual feedback, on the actual website, and that should be a little bit easier to see with the decreased quality. So normally, I would do this from my office. Unfortunately, my actually, it looks like I'm seeing from the live chat the volume is really low as well. So let me see if I can do anything about that. So my employer has blocked all access to GitHub, which I mean I really can't work very well without that. So I'm gonna try to do a stream here. I'm hoping that by next week we get access again. Uh, Otherwise, I'll be working from home a lot, so I can access GitHub. I won't have a lot of um, I don't know. I won't have a lot of time in the office to be able to stream, so I'll have to figure something out. Maybe I can definitely do pre-recorded videos. I see. Yeah, I'm working on the volume now. I'm not sure what the problem is. Okay, I found it now. Is that better at all? The volume. Wait a second for a response here. Yeah, I'll explain. So, I got some questions. Why would they block GitHub? So you guys have heard the like the Petya ransomware thing that's going on. It's not really ransomware, I guess they're saying now. It just is a wiper. Um, so okay, is it better now? Yeah, actually, in my sound settings, so in OBS, that's my streaming software, the sound settings were fine, but in the actual settings for my Mac, somehow the input volume for the microphone got turned almost completely down. And I'm not sure how that happened. I don't remember doing that, um, but that happened. And that actually makes sense because yesterday I was doing a Skype meeting with this laptop, and um, they were having trouble hearing people talking. So that's probably the reason. But anyway, so someone in the IT department is on a listserv, and someone on that listserv emailed out to everybody that they had actually seen this virus, this Petya or not Petya, whatever they're calling it now. They'd seen it when it first got started to do its work, and they noticed that they downloaded something from GitHub, and that was the only message, right? So based on that, they shut down GitHub. Luckily, one of my coworkers alerted me to that on Wednesday, so I didn't even bother coming in. That's why I didn't do a stream on Wednesday. Yesterday, they had reactivated. They unblocked it so I could get access to it. So yesterday I was actually able to go in the office, but then during my normal stream time, I had a really long meeting, and then even earlier on, I had some meetings early in the day, so my whole day was taken up, so I couldn't do a stream. Like, I wanted to stream yesterday, but I just hadn't have the time. So then I went into work today, and the first thing I always do is try to do a git pull, and it wouldn't work. And so then I tried to go on GitHub, and it wouldn't work. So I called over to the IT department, and they had, in fact, blocked GitHub again. And when I asked how long it would be, they said, "Oh, not that long." And I said, "Well, were we talking like days?" And they said, "Yeah, hopefully just days." So evidently they're waiting for their antivirus software to come out with an update that protects them against this ransomware. And when that update comes out, then they will unblock GitHub. So that's the story. So I really, this really stinks because I have a lot of work to do, and I also want to stream. I haven't streamed that much lately this week, and I miss it. I miss all of you guys and girls, and so hopefully this all gets resolved, and I can get back to my normal streaming, and you don't have to suffer through this terrible quality video stream. Unless I could find somewhere else that has better internet that I could go to work, then maybe. But there's not really any like workplaces. I live in a small city, so there's just not really a good place that has great Wi-Fi that I can go to work. But if I can find one, I will. Hopefully it won't come to that, and I can just go into the office and do it. So anyway, okay, I see everybody in the live chat now. Hey everyone. So I have a lot of news. So we are going to go over some CSS changes today. I thought that would just be simple given the bad quality of the stream. It'll be way easier to see what's going on. But I just want to give you an overview. The site's going to be undergoing some major changes in some parts of it. So I want to give you a quick overview of what's going to happen. I'm going to try to stream as much of it as I can. And also, I'd like your input on some things. I will say, I probably only have maybe, I think until around July 19th, I need to be pulled off of this project and go to another project. So everything that's going to happen needs to happen by July 15th. So in addition to what we were already working on before, the biggest thing that I was working on that needs to happen is I need to get all the content of the entire site to be editable from WordPress. So I need to be able to pull in all that content either in one API call or figure out how to make multiple API calls with Next.js and how they do their server-side rendering. So, but maybe I'll do a video about that. So I have some ideas. Hopefully I'll get to that. So here's what's going to change. I'm just going to go through really quickly the changes, the most major changes. The really long meeting that I had yesterday was all about changes that need to happen to this site. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this whole section smaller. So this was pretty like our hero section, but it's going to become more of just a really big nav, basically. So this is going to shrink up a bit. This will get smaller. This text here will get smaller. This text and this logo will get larger. Now, I'm not sure about the size of this logo, if I can even make it larger without it getting pixelated, so I have to check. I think I might be like at the upper end of the range here, so we'll see. Maybe I can get a better quality image that I could make bigger. And this is all based, I got a ton of feedback from several different people that are in this department, this Catechetical Institute department. So I can't really, these are pretty much set since it wasn't really my call for a lot of this stuff, although I did have my input. A lot of this is kind of set, so we can't really change it. The other thing that needs to change is this bar here needs to get a little taller, and this text needs to be a larger font size and maybe even a heavier font weight. We'll see how that looks. Now this is big. This looks terrible now. Just the where the video was stopped at. I was playing the video, I guess, at a low quality. But basically, let me do a refresh just so you can see what the thumbnail is for this video. There's going to be a full screen video section, so this will be a lot smaller, so you'll be able to see like half of this. And you're going to scroll down, and this is a full screen video. I don't know if we'll stick with the YouTube embed or if I'll actually pull in the video, but it's going to be click to play. I'm not going to autoplay it, but this is a video introduction from the head of the Catechetical Institute. That's who the site's for. Does like a voiceover. So we have a videographer in my department who's really good, and he put this together. So we're going to put this here. This section, which I had added, is not going to be included. After we had to talk more about what the goals of the website are, which we should have known this from the outset, but I think it just took a while for everyone to really figure out what they wanted this website to do. So we moved the mission statement down here instead of it having its own section. The quote that was here is actually mentioned in the video, so it'll still get in there. This section here, this formation section, is going to be moved up above. So it'll be video, the formation section with the 4 cards, and then the mission below it. And then below that we'll have announcements like we have here. And then we're going to add a contact form, and then just our normal footer. So the home page is undergoing very significant changes. The About page is going to have some links to some informational pages. So I'm just going to have to change it a little bit to include a section there that can display links. So I'm no use in actually checking that page out at this point. Let me check the chat real quick in case someone had some comments on this. Okay. Okay, I can see I did have some comments about the whole like GitHub being blocked thing. Grayson says, I can see from a security perspective it makes sense. It does get in the way of workflow, but I don't want data loss. Yeah, I don't know that IT realizes how much I use GitHub, and the one other person that does this kind of work in my department uses GitHub, because IT doesn't use GitHub. They use some really old form of version control. It's like a proprietary system. I forget what it's called. Like, they were using Visual Source Safe or something, and now they're using like some Vault thing. I don't really know. But for them, it wasn't a big deal to block it because they never use it. So, yeah, I still think the best thing for them to do would be to make sure that all their stuff has the upgrade for the SMB v1, which is, from what I understand, what that virus is using to get in and actually infect everything. It seems to me, from what I've read, if you have that installed, then you should be fine. But let's see. Okay. Emmanuel asks, why not just make it a WordPress theme? And I know we've gone over this before, but I keep getting that question, and the reason basically is this is using React right now. It's too late in the game to change it to a WordPress theme anyway. But there are some advantages to doing it this way as opposed to a traditional WordPress theme, and I'm not going to go through it all because I know I've done it in past videos, but I'll let some people in the live chat fill you in on the advantages. But basically, at this point, there's no way I could convert this into a WordPress theme fast enough for when I need to have this all done. Let's see. Okay, John Hansen says could convert the logo that's a PNG into an SVG, and says it works great. It's fairly quick to do. All right, awesome. I hadn't even thought of that, but that is a great idea. So I'll give that, if I need to, I'll give that a try. I do prefer to use SVGs whenever I can anyway. Sebastian says, well, Chrome and Kaspersky decided that YouTube was not secure. Yeah, I don't... yeah, Scott's giving some other options for what source control they use. TFS, IBM's Subversion. It's not Subversion. It might be TFS. I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter really, but it's definitely not. It's not the IBM one, and it's not Subversion. They did use like the old Microsoft one, and that's like not supported anymore. But I'm pretty sure they've switched off of that one onto this new one. So anyway, I'll continue on. The only other section that is getting major changes is the resource section. Also, the events section, the geolocation stuff is now live, and I do want to thank Patrick, because he submitted 2 pull requests that were kind of in relation to that section. Let me see. I wonder if he's on. I just want to bring up the contributor section here just to give credit to everyone who's been contributing. So here we go. So thanks. I'll zoom in on that a bit. I know the quality's bad, so hopefully you can see that. But here's everyone who's contributed this so far, and I really, really appreciate all your contributions. They've made this so much better than it would have been, and I've learned so much from going through your code that you've submitted. And I've already, I was working on just some little side projects, some fun projects when I was on vacation, and I was going back to your pull requests that you all submitted and figuring out how everything was done so that I could do it that way on my newer projects. So really awesome. I really appreciate that. Let me go. Is my resources working? There we go. So right now the resources section is not. It's not working exactly as expected. The idea was that it would look kind of like Pinterest, right? But Pinterest has images for everything, and as you can see, there's only one image right now. The problem is a lot of the images for these were just way too small and looked terrible when they were actually in here. So the layout for this is going to completely change. So just briefly, these will probably stay here and the search will stay here. Somewhere in the middle, and the search might get smaller maybe, somewhere in the middle there's just going to be a toggle between free and paid resources. So it's just going to toggle back and forth. I may or may not even keep an icon that denotes whether something's free or paid because we'll just have the toggle. I'll see. Basically, there's probably not going to be a view that includes both free and paid resources together. So it may not even be necessary to have this icon. We're going to have a drop down here that has a ton of categories. The example given that so basically the people who are in charge of this institute that I'm doing the website for, they want it to be like Amazon. Okay, so basically in the next like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, I'm going to try to turn this into Amazon as closely as I can. And no, I'm definitely not going to try to recreate everything that Amazon does, but I'm basically going to make it so that a user could come in here, they could pick a category. So they could choose whether they want free or paid, then choose a category, and then choose whether they want audio or text, and then search within that. So you can filter down like to a very small set of things that you want. So that's how the filtering is going to work. And then for the UI, these cards are going to go away, and it's going to look more like a list. So I know there's like material design lists. Let me see. Let me see if I can show you an example of what it's going to look like. Or at least in my head what I think it's going to look like. So I just did some sketches on paper during the meeting just so that I remembered. But yeah, it's basically going to look have this list kind of look where I'm trying to find if there's a better example down farther. Okay, so this is, I guess, a decent example. where it's going to be more like a list, a one-column list. There'll be images on this side, title. The description will actually be hidden by default, but you can click to read more. So it'll enable them to make really long descriptions if they want them, and it won't mess up the flow of the page and cause a lot of scrolling. So there'll be a little arrow to drop down the description or hide the description, and then there'll be just some other basic information about each resource. So that'll require a little bit on the WordPress end of things to add the custom fields for that. But then on the UI side of things, it'll be, we'll be changing that significantly, probably making a new React component for that. So that's it. Those are the major changes that are going to happen. There are some other things that are going to happen, but it's not really worth talking about. It's a lot more, kind of minor things. So today what I wanted to work on was doing all the changes that I talked about for this section. So I'm just going to check the live chat quickly. Yeah, Philip was responding. Someone had asked about why not just do it as a WordPress theme, and Philip responded and said speed, easier load balancing, I think, not using PHP. Yeah, there are so many reasons. There maybe isn't like one reason that's like for sure you should go this way, but there were so many small reasons. When you add them all up, it made sense for me to do it like this. And yeah, not having to do a lot of PHP template things was a big plus for me, because there's nothing wrong with PHP. That's just not where I want to go with my career and my learning path. So I want to go more with JavaScript and React, and I think it'll be easier in the future, given the growth of React, someone to maintain this site. If I could just say, hey, this is just an HTML, CSS, JavaScript site, basically, with React. Someone could step right in if they had knowledge of JavaScript and probably pick up enough of React that they could do it. I don't need to say in a job description, let's say for somebody who might replace me one day, and say you have to know PHP. All right, I don't need that. So anyway, but there's a lot of reasons. Not to say there's nothing wrong with WordPress. My own personal site is just a regular WordPress site with WordPress templates. Octavian says it's too boring to stay longer. Cheers to everybody. see Octavian. I'm sure Octavian is not here anymore, but if parts of the video are super boring to any of you, let me know what parts are boring, and then I will try to just cut those out. I don't mind if a part's really useful and boring, that's okay, but if it's boring and it's not useful to anybody, then yeah, I just want to cut it out. So yeah, if anybody else thinks it's boring, before you leave, please let me know what exactly is the boring part. XD asks, which project is that? It's the CI React. Oh yeah, so github.com/fus-marcom/CI-React. The link is in the description for the video. This branch is called. Let me give you the branch name so you could. It's called home-alt. So I'm working on that branch right now if you want to check out any of the code. Alright. Okay, Ahmed says the user interface design looks totally stunning to me. Awesome. So, thank you. I'm glad you think that. Yeah, so I mean, you all that have been watching for a while, like we worked really hard on this. I really appreciate you saying that. XD says would be cool to take it out of WordPress. Yeah, I've thought about like totally not having WordPress involved at all, but it just wasn't like going with a completely different content management system. The time frame that I had for this, I just knew I wouldn't be able to do that in this time frame. But if there is a system that would be more lightweight and still as user-friendly as WordPress in terms of someone with no coding experience being able to come in and input data, then I'd definitely be open to that. specifically, I would love it if there was something that was well tested and reliable that could run off of Node. And then that way I could totally cut out the need for any PHP knowledge, and it would just be JavaScript, across the board. Ibuka asks, just to confirm the site is built with Next.js. Yes, it is. It is built with Next.js. Ahmed says, nothing is boring. Jesse, you're doing great. Yeah, honestly, if someone's really advanced at this, my videos probably would be somewhat boring because, I mean, they'd already know all this. So unless they're here to help me out, it's gonna be pretty boring. So anyway, as long as people are still watching this and they still appreciate what I'm doing, I'm still gonna do it. It does. I mean, if it's boring to some people, that's fine. There are like millions of videos out there that they could watch that may be less boring to them. Okay. XD says, put some configuration instructions in the README. Yeah, I definitely should. I've thought that before, but it's just always been really low on the list. Initially, because I didn't think anybody would be working on it. But now that you all are helping with it, that's going to move higher up on my list of things to do. John says, LOL, boring. This is supposed to be your regular day as an aspiring developer. I want to know when it's boring. Valuable info. Besides, I watch this while I code, so no problems. Okay, cool. Yeah, that is true. I mean, it is supposed to be my regular day, and sometimes things are boring. So, I guess that's the point of the video then. If my day is boring, then the video ends up being boring. I try to pick the most interesting thing of the day that I will be working on to record, but it's not always fun stuff. All right, so I'm going to go... Philip says thumbs down for Drupal and Joomla. Yeah, I agree. I've used them both before as well. I don't... Of Drupal, Joomla, and WordPress to me by far is the easier one to use. The partner site to this, so this is the site that's more like the marketing site and just informational, and then there's going to be a learning management system that is actually built on Drupal. That's not ready yet, but it should be ready by the 15th of July. And when it is, then I'm going to link to it from there. That site is built with Drupal. The good thing is, I guess, because we're just basically pulling in everything through an API, if I needed to pull in data from the learning management system, they could just expose all that data through an API in Drupal, I guess, and I could pull that data in too, and then I wouldn't actually have to develop anything for Drupal. So, but it's nobody. They actually hired an outside company to do that, so I'm not directly involved in any of that work. All right, so I'm gonna come back to the live chat, but I want to work on some of this section first. I don't think it's going to take a long time, so I'll do some work for, I don't know, like 10 or 15 minutes on this, and I'll check back in with the live chat. Hopefully we can get this to a point where it's decently, kind of what we want, and then I'll answer all your questions and everything in the live chat. If you can't stick around till the end of the video to get your question answered, please put it in the comments or direct message me on Twitter, and then I will answer your question whenever I get a chance within the next few days or so. All right, so first thing, let's just work on, so these are 3 different components actually. So this, I think it's 3. I think this is a nav component, this is the hero section, and then this is the sticky nav. So we'll be working on all 3 of those components. It is possible that I made this one component. I can't even remember when I did that, but we'll find out here. So this is the hero component. And let me know if I need to blow this up even bigger. I did preview the video, and the quality was not great. So I'm going to try to be as descriptive as I can, as I'm talking about this, so that you can, if you can't see the code, you can at least get an idea of what's going on there. So yeah, this hero section. Yeah, so I think that is two separate components. So we're going to drop the text size, the font size of this. So right now it's 100 pixels, and let's drop this down. Let's just drop it down to 75 for now. And then I want to increase the padding at the top a bit. So I'll make this 175 instead of 150. And because what I want to do, okay, great. That'll allow me to move this, make this bigger and this bigger. That should move down a bit, and then this will look, that's a decent size. We'll move this up a bit. Yeah, I like that. That should work for now. Sometimes it just works out well. You just guess and it looks all right. Let's see. Margin. I could do this in DevTools too, but these adjustments are pretty straightforward. So what do I want to make the margin? -83. Let's move it up. Let's try to make it -100. There we go. Yeah, I moved it up a bit. I think I want it up even more. I want to see how much I can get this up here without it. Okay, that's much better there. It's a little bit too much right now, but we're going to shrink this a bit too. So I think this will work by moving this up. So we've actually shrunk this section now by over 100 pixels, and it still looks, you know, pretty close to what it was before. So looking at it now, though, we probably need to bump this down a bit more if we're going to make this bigger. So let's do that. We're going to bump this down a bit more, and we're going to shrink this, and then I'm good to move on to some of these other components. I think that's a good start. So yeah, let me move this, make the padding for this one 200, and I'm going to go over this real quickly in case someone's not familiar with React and what's going on here. So this is a React component, and then within this component we have what looks like basic HTML, this is just a JavaScript class. Okay, so React is mostly just regular JavaScript with a little bit of this JSX is what lets us make have the HTML kind of mixed in with the JavaScript, and it works. And that's just like syntactic sugar. But really, what's going on here is it's all just functions and classes and things. It's basic JavaScript stuff. So when we want to add a style to something, we actually put in a JavaScript object, and that's how we can put inline CSS into our JSX, which is what this is called, this kind of mix of HTML and JavaScript. Okay, so this works like normal. Normally you do have to put class name. There's an NPM module now installed where I don't have to use class name. I can use class, but if you're just working on React like for the first time and it's just straight up React, you have to put class name instead of class. Okay, so anything that's a reserved word in JavaScript, you can't use. So class name is one. Instead of using for, you have to use HTML4. Those two I know. There's probably other ones, but for sure those two you have to change. But otherwise, you just make an object. So the first bracket tells basically the compiler that's going to change the JSX into something that browsers can handle. It just tells it like, hey, we're going to do some JavaScript now. And then the second bracket is our object. And then we put in the CSS, and then we make it camel case instead of hyphenated like normal CSS. And then, you know, we just add in whatever we want our values to be here. And these are in, you know, in quotation marks. and then we just close out our object and we close out our JavaScript, and now we're right back into the HTML style. If you want to do more than one, since it's a JavaScript object, you just put a comma and then you keep on going and you make more. Okay, you could put a bunch of CSS. Okay, now that's one way to do it. There's another way, and this is styled JSX. I don't think this comes with React. I think this comes built in with Next. So if you're using Next.js, this will work. If you're using just plain React, I can't guarantee that this will work. But you use a style tag, but then you just add JSX in here. You drop into JavaScript, right, with our bracket, and then we put a template literal. We start a template literal. This is a ES6 thing, a template literal syntax. It lets you basically make a string in JavaScript, and then you can put in JavaScript within that string, and you can also have your string take up multiple lines, and it still works. So very, very handy. But within that, then you just do regular CSS. I mean, all this CSS is exactly how you would do it in a normal CSS file. And then you just close out the template literal with your little backtick. And there's no way you all can probably see that backtick on the screen, so sorry about that. I'll try to make it a bit bigger. And then you close out your JavaScript with another bracket. Okay, and that's how you do CSS in a React component. These aren't the only ways. There are a lot of other like modules, like NPM modules and things out there that you can download to help you do CSS in your React component. These are the ways that I've used and that I'm working with now. I've seen like talks on a lot of other different ways, so there may be better ways out there. I'm going to look. That was a big explanation, so I'm just going to check really quick in the chat to see if I lost anybody, if anyone had any questions. I don't want to lose, especially the people that are really new to React. I want to make sure that I can help you kind of know what's going on as much as I can. Okay. I'm not seeing. It looks like there's not any questions specifically about this in the live chat right now, so I'm going to move on. Okay, so next thing is we want to make this a bit smaller. So I do have let's see, for the hero section I have a minimum height set of 80. I think I can drop that down. I don't think I want it to take up that much now. We'll drop that down to 60, but then we're also going to drop our background size down to 60 to match that. We may have to change the positioning here. We'll see. Also the margin. We'll see how that works out. Whoa. Okay. I don't think I want it. I don't know that I want it that small. I'm not sure. What do you all think? In this case, I do have some discretion here. We didn't decide on exactly how small this section would get. So I wasn't planning on it being this small, but now that I see it, I think it could be. I mean, obviously we'll have to position this differently and shrink this up a bit too, but I think it could be this small and work. Let me know what you think. For now, I think I'm going to move this over a little bit, and I'm going to shrink this text up a bit and just see how it looks. Sorry, if you hear anything in the background, those are probably my kids and my wife shushing them. So sorry about that, but in case you missed the beginning, I am working from home today. Also, let me know how the video quality is. I expect it to not be that good, and I'm sorry about that. But let me know if it's like totally completely terrible, like not worth continuing the video or anything like that. I don't really think I can do anything about it. I've set the settings, you know, pretty low. If I do go any lower, the video is going to be like really low quality. I just don't. The screen won't be, the text won't be readable at that point at all. So I'm actually going to go into DevTools for this because this is going to be I'm going to want to mess with these positions a bit. So let me bring over, I'll move this over. I don't know if it's worth it for me to bring over DevTools because I don't know that I can zoom in enough for it even to be readable. And actually, I have media queries and stuff going on here too. So let's make this bigger first, because we're gonna have to shrink it down and then just hit several media queries, several breakpoints. So right now, all I'm changing is that background position X. So I'm just hitting the down arrow key on my keyboard to change that background position. And I'm wondering, like, do I shrink this so that the whole thing fits, or do I just leave it so that it's really big like this and partially blocked? I don't know the answer to that right now. I'm wondering. Maybe we'll shrink it a bit. I think like the largeness of it has a good impact, because even if it's off the screen, you can't see it, it still appears like it's large. You know that part of it's obscured, but you can still get like this size. So I kind of like that. I don't know. That looks okay for now. I'm going to copy over what I did now, and then that way you'll be able to see it. So in Chrome DevTools, I made some of these adjustments. And so basically we just dropped down the X position, the Y position, and then I changed the background size from 60 to 49. And this is 49 viewport width. So the size of the background is actually dependent on the width of the screen. So it kind of gives it responsiveness. So it scales nicely. So you can see, like, it's obviously smaller at this point. Now we're also hitting some media queries, so that's potentially changing the size. But I don't think right there, yeah, that breakpoint's not changing the size. It's just changing the positioning. All right, see, so we do have some really weird stuff happening at some points now that we'll need to work out. Now, I don't know that it will work all that out on this video. But just basically, and at this point, we've hit another breakpoint. So I want to change it because that's obviously not working. I don't want it to be up that high. So, goodness, yeah, that starts to look terrible when you get down lower. We'll have to figure something out. But that's okay. So I'm going to change this breakpoint. So this 1200 pixel breakpoint, instead of 26% for the background position Y, I'm going to change that to negative 32%. Oops. And an easy fix that we might do, so this component actually doesn't display at all once we get to small enough screen. So we could, instead of trying to mess with all of this, we could just make it go away. I mean, this is depending on how it looks. I think it does make sense that probably at the point where the logo gets centered, at that point, this hero section should go away. And so that's 900 900 or so. Looks like 992. So we'll set this 992, and this media query controls when that is displayed, right? So I didn't want, for users with small screens, they're most likely on a mobile device. So I didn't want them to have to load a large image here and have a huge section to have to scroll down down that section. So let's see. All right, that works. We also have to adjust our media query now for the nav component to make it display at that range. All right, I'm gonna check the live chat again just really quickly. Okay, Ahmed says, Ahmed probably already left, so I don't know if he'll hear this or not, but he said he's got to go because the time in India is 12:43 a.m., so got to get some sleep. Totally understand that. So I'll see you hopefully next week. I can get some streams in at a decent quality from my office. Thanks for watching, Ahmed. Let's see. All right, looks like there's some good conversation going on in the live chat, but it doesn't look like a lot is directed at me in terms of questions. So, oh, okay, it looks like XD said the resolution is cool. It's so cool. Umberto says Umberto likes how it looks partially blocked. So this monster. So maybe we will increase the size and just let it be a little bit blocked. I'm with you there. I think you still get the sense that it's large even though you can't see all of it. And since it's basically a symmetrical thing, so you can get, even if you've never seen, this is called a monstrance, even if you've never seen one before, you can basically guess that it's going to continue to be a circle. I have seen one before and I've seen this whole image, but it seems to me like the shape of it, suggests basically that it keeps going around anyway. So I'll work on that a bit. Sean asked what I was creating because just came on. Basically, I'm editing this. This section used to be really big, like a big hero section, and we're shrinking it down to make it much shorter. And so we need to make a lot of adjustments here with the size of the image and the font size, and how they're displayed, their positioning. Umberto says, are you not using the hide on materialized classes? Yeah, so if you've been watching, or you might have noticed in the code, I'm using materialize as my framework for all my styles. And there are already classes to hide and show things in materialize. I didn't use those classes before because I had like custom breakpoints that I wanted to use. They didn't match up with the breakpoints that were already built in. Although at this point, I probably could switch to those because I think our breakpoints are actually starting to align. So originally the breakpoints weren't lined up, but now I think like this breakpoint here does match up with the materialized breakpoints. So that's probably a good idea. What would that be? Hide on, I think that would be hide on medium and down. Let's do that. That's certainly like a much cleaner way to do it. So I'm going to try this. So instead of having our showing and hiding this in some CSS that we've written, we're going to try to use the class hide on medium and down. So I think that's how it goes. If it doesn't work at all, then I'll look it up, but I'm pretty sure that's the way you write it. And then let's take out, so we won't need this. Actually, I'll leave this max height thing in. because they don't have a height class built in. Alright, so let me save that, and this should still hide. Whoops. Oh, did I start the video? I accidentally started the video. I keep doing that all the time. I might just take the video out while I'm working, so I quit accidentally starting it. Alright, so it should disappear. Nice, it did. Umberto, awesome suggestion. So now we're not going to worry about doing our breakpoints manually. We're going to use the... now that our breakpoints are actually lining up with the built-in ones for Materialize, we can just use those classes. So that's cool. Let's see. I'm going to check the live chat really quick. Some questions. Isaiah asks, how are you structuring your code? I think in CSS it's easy to have unorganized code. Yeah, for sure it is. And my CSS right now is, so if you check out the repo and look at my style.css file, it's a mess. It's really like, the reason that it's a mess, there's two reasons why it's a mess. So all this was originally built with Sass and then just converted over to CSS. So this isn't really how I wrote it. You know, this is the converted version, so it's a little bit messed up because of that. The other reason is I had intended most of this to actually live in the components, so I didn't bother trying to organize it that much because I always figured, well, I'm just going to move this over into all the components at some point anyway. I have slowly been moving things over, but I haven't, obviously, I have not moved everything over. So at some point, I'd like to move it into the components, but it's just not happening yet. Actually, if anybody, if you really want to get some, I don't know, like some pull requests accepted on GitHub just to like build up your portfolio, maybe you're like, want it to look a little bit more impressive for a job or something, feel free to take that on, even if it's you just want to move a little bit over, and that's cool. As long as everything still works, I'll definitely accept that pull request. Otherwise, I might have saved some of this. I have a student worker right now, and I'm hopefully going to have some more student workers from the computer science department. This might be a really good thing to just start them out with, so that they get used to, you know, submitting pull requests and just some basic stuff. Because they're really knowledgeable about a lot of computer science things, but not really about web development. So kind of they need to be brought in with like little steps. So anyway, I fully acknowledge that my CSS is a mess right now, and I acknowledge that that is not ideal. XDS, do you have media queries for all sizes? Not really. I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't think I'm using that many media queries, but maybe I am. As I was doing this, I was trying to go really fast, like before launch. So I think I did get sloppy with my media queries at some point. So I probably do have a lot of them, more than I need. XD asked about CSS preprocessors. Yeah, so I did use Sass, but I'm not right now. Patrick says the white bar at the top. He's asking about the white bar. So basically what happened is with that white bar is, so like you can see here, you can kind of see the nav here. I have to adjust some stuff so this actually shows up, but the nav's there and then it disappears because I have a media query to hide it at this point. I just need to adjust it. So when I adjusted the media query for this section, it made it disappear. So there's this, like, basically from this wide to this wide, there's this space now where there's nothing here. So I just need to make the thinner version of the nav appear there. So when I go over to edit, I'm about to edit that component now. So I'll change that in a second, and then that'll work. XC says you can split it, man. Are you talking about my CSS? Yeah. And use one style sheet for a component. Yeah. That was my that was my plan. That was my plan to do it. So originally, this site was actually just a static HTML site. It was not React, and that's where the majority of the styles were made in Sass for that site. So that's why it was just one style sheet. And like I said, the idea was to split it up when it became a React site. It just hasn't happened as fast as I wanted to. Um, let's see. Okay, so XD said a PR, sent a PR trying to change it, all that stuff. Thank you, I appreciate that. I'll check that out after the video. Yeah, okay, so Joshua says you need to add the Sass loader to your Webpack config. Yes. So when I first started working with Next.js, you couldn't do custom configs for Webpack. So this was like, I don't know, we're like almost on version 3 for Next or something like that. This was like way back, like pre-version 2. You couldn't do that. So when I started this project, I would just assume that I couldn't do it. And then after I'd started it, I realized that you could now do custom Webpack configs. But at that point, I was already in the middle of it, and I thought, you know what, I don't even care at this point. I'm just going to keep going with it. But yeah, you can add the Sass loader in, and Next lets you do that now, and so it's definitely possible, and it would be better. Let's see. Yeah, so XD's laughing at me in the live chat here because I have one file for all the styles. Yeah. I mean, there are actually a lot of styles within the components now, too, so technically I have many files, but I only have one CSS file. Alright, so the only thing I think I really need to do now before I move on to the nav component is make sure that this text doesn't overlap the logo. And I just need to make this text a lot smaller. So I'm going to go into DevTools on my other screen here, and then at least you can see, yeah, it needs to be, I think, like at least that big. It just looks way too small otherwise. So, alright, let's go with that and move it down a bit. I tell you the truth, I don't really like how that looks right now. I think that looks bad. Yeah, I mean, look, that looks terrible. I don't know. What do you think? I think that looks really bad. Joshua asked about Next.js. Said he made it sound similar to Create React Create App. Yeah, it is. It's basically does the same thing as that. It just adds some other things like mainly the biggest reason I use Next instead of the Create React app is server-side rendering, because that comes built in with Next. Also, the routing is helpful. I've learned how to do routing with React Router since then, but at first I wasn't that great with routing in React. So the fact that Next had built-in routing was also a big plus. All right, so we need to do something with this. I'm gonna bring up the live site as a reference. Yeah, something needs to happen because this looks really unbalanced now. So I think we need, maybe this needs to come over a bit, maybe be bigger. There's just so much space, and I'm wondering why is this on 3 lines? Maybe Okay, so if you can see on the screen, I have it in this container. So that's part of the problem, is the container that it's in is making it that small. We might be able to get away, and we'll see. Let me know what you think about this, but we could probably get away with making this even shorter and then having this line just be like a line across the bottom here. I'm not sure. I kind of want to see how it would look. I'm not 100% convinced that that would be the right way to do it, but I think it's worth a shot. So to make that happen, I'm probably going to have to change a little bit of the HTML. I mean, I can just mess with it here, but if I really wanted it to work, I'll have to change the structure a bit. Yeah, so I was trying to just change it in DevTools, but there's too much that needs change. So you can see how I have this now is I actually have it inside like a column class. So so we have it in a row and then in a column, and we need to separate that out. So you can see like this is the column, which I've messed around with in DevTools, and then the row. But the row is really restricting it down to this size, so I can't go over. So we need to completely just take it out of the row so we can position it however we want. So I do want to keep, basically I just need to keep this H1. So let's take that out, and then everything within this row we'll get rid of. And we'll just pop this in here. Oh man, wow, that's terrible. I mean, whenever we save a commit, it'll reformat this anyway, but so I guess it's not a big deal. Also, we had I'll see if this works. We might have to, the text might revert to being black. Yeah, it looks like it did. So let me add the class white text. There we go. Okay, so now we have it to the point where we can at least see. Now, the only problem with doing it this way is, like, at some point we're going to have to make even further adjustments, right? Because it's just too big. I mean, maybe we could decrease the font size a bit so that we wouldn't have to worry, so that it would never hit. I mean, we're close right now. I just never want there to be an overlap over top of this image, so needs some adjustment. At this point, I'm thinking like I probably could have just completely redone this whole section and not just tried to adjust it. But let's at least, you know, do a little bit of adjustment here just to get a good visual of what it could be. And let's make this shorter. Alright, that's good for now. And let's move this down. Okay. And I definitely want to move this over. Okay. Alright, so that'll give us like a rough idea of where this potentially could be. So I'm going to just look at this for a second. You all can check it out as well. Let me know what you think. I mean, basically, we're going from this. Let's break them out so we can see the side by side. You know, we've kind of made it a really, I guess, extreme change here. You know, originally I wasn't thinking it would be that extreme. Alright, so the delay on the video should be up, so hopefully I'll be getting some feedback. Okay, feedback it is kind of weird. Okay, so I'm going back now in the live chat and checking out some of the feedback. Okay, so Matt says can make the logo in the upper left larger and vertically center it. Okay. Philip asks, is that an image or text in the center? If you're talking about this is actually text. So you'd asked that a while ago, so maybe you figured that out. There we go. Okay, so Justin had said you could make it one line. Okay, Matt agrees one line would be better. Matt also says, I have to admit, I don't like the React inline styles. I'm so excited to move from inline styling to CSS. I can't believe we're moving back to inline in popularity. Yeah, I know, it is really weird. It was really weird when I saw it at first, too, because that's how, I don't know, I mean, I had everything always said, like, don't use inline CSS, but I'm on board with it now because of the just having everything being modular and reusable. Like if I can make my components so self-contained to the point where I could just pull one component off of one project and pop it into another project and it would look the same and behave the same, that is super valuable. So I really like that aspect of it, especially if I could just with a few things adjust the styles to match like a new color scheme, but basically everything else would be able to stay the same. I think that's valuable, and for me at least, that helped me to get over the weirdness of it, of putting the styles, you know, in line. Okay, Matt says the logo in the upper left needs to have size increased to match the other two elements in the scope. It barely registers on the screen with the other elements. That's exactly what everyone was saying in the meeting yesterday. So that was the whole point of decreasing this stuff, was so that this didn't get lost. So yeah, you're right on target. That was the general consensus yesterday. John says, if you use flex direction column div inside your header within a flex div row, you would have much more responsive control without playing with the margins, etc. Also, the REM font size can tie well to responsive width. Okay, I will. Now, when I am using the flex stuff, though, how back does support go for that? I am using Flex in some other areas of the site, so I'm not super concerned about the support for it. But I have noticed that like IE11, just when I use Flex with IE11, it doesn't look right. So I don't know. Does anyone has experience with that? I mean, I'm not super worried about it. There's not that many people that even view the site with IE11, but if it's not too difficult to support it, I would like to support it. So let's work. Let me just see if I can make this bigger, since we've had a few suggestions about making this bigger. I just want to see what it would look like. So let's make this a bit bigger. Oh, actually, yeah, that doesn't look bad at all. I don't know what size that is originally, but it looks good. Oh, yeah, it's definitely big enough. We can make that bigger. Awesome. Oh, okay, so IE11 does have 98% support. That's cool. And that was John. John just informed me about that. XD saying you can use WebKit prefixes. Okay, cool. Yeah, the main thing that I've noticed breaks in IE11 is when I try to vertically align things with Flexbox. Maybe that's like the one thing that's not supported. But yeah, actually that logo looks a lot better when it's bigger like that. So I'm gonna bring that over. And currently the styles for that logo currently live in the style.css. So this is going to be an instance where we can move that into the component. So this is going to be in the nav component. And let's find, it's the brand logo. So we can put it, oops, no, I don't want a class. I want an inline style. And then I definitely want to remove this in the CSS. So assuming that this does look alright. And let me move, I'm going to get rid of this because we don't need that right now. Dang it. I keep clicking this accidentally. Yeah, that looks good. Let me do, okay. I think that looks alright. So let's go to, we'll take a little chunk out of this giant unorganized CSS file here. So it feels really good every time I get to delete something out of this file. So line 208. Oh man, we got, I forgot I had some media queries associated with it as well. Alright, so I will have to include these. So let's grab this. Wow, I got a lot of stuff. While we're here, why don't I just grab all the nav stuff and then I can just get rid of it from this file. I didn't even realize I had this much. Alright, so now the formatting is insane. Like I said, this is not usually how I format CSS. This was just the auto formatting. Whoops, I'm gonna move it to our component. So you have the nav component here. I'll leave that here just for now, but I am going to take that out. And down below, It looks like I had already transferred some stuff over here, so we may have to clean it up. I want, in case I've done something here that I was overriding, I'm going to put all the new styles on top so that when it cascades, it should still all work. And then I can always clean that up if there's any duplicates. So the only thing that I need to change right now is this height. Nope, not that height. The logo height. So brand logo image height needs to be 130. And now I can remove this. The reason I didn't want to keep this here is because this would override everything in the media queries, and I need that. So I'm going to save that. I guess I could check quickly to make sure. Alright, well, that's nothing changed significantly. So that's cool. That works. Now let's remove all this stuff from the styles.css. Oh yes, that felt so good to get rid of that. So see, I'm cutting down on it here. All right, I'm gonna check back in the live chat quickly. Okay, John said that his most recent site is all flex, and with IE11 it's good. So maybe maybe I need to just go back and make sure that I do have the correct vendor prefixes and things. John says it looks so complicated. Yeah, I know it does. I feel like every time I go back to this file, someone else comments about how messy it is, but it's true. It is really messy. It was never supposed to be like that. Sometimes you just have to do things to get a site launched, and then you clean it up later. That was the case. In case you haven't seen like the whole thing and the story of this site, quick recap is this was a totally unexpected project that I got assigned to. Like one day I was working on something and all of a sudden it was like drop everything, do this project, and the completion date was like, it was just a really, really tight deadline. And so a lot of the stuff, some of the stuff that's not really a great practice in the code is it's entirely possible that it's just because of my lack of knowledge of the right way to do it. But some of the stuff, CSS included, was simply because it just needed to get done. So it was like, you know what, I need this done, like I'm just going to type it out and I'll have time later. So there were a lot of points where it was like, I'll have time later to clean this up. And now is really that later. So so that's why I'm doing it now. Although I do appreciate everybody saying that I should clean it up, so I'm not mad about it, but I'm just saying I agree. You don't have to convince me that it should be cleaned up. All right. So what else did we want to change in here? Not in hero. We wanted to make that the branding text bigger. Where is that? I think it's here. Okay. Yeah, it's here. So if you're not sure, this outlink, this is from a few streams ago. We had made a component that basically fixed a bug in React GA that let us do click tracking with outbound links and open them up in a new tab. So that's why this is the outlink component. So you can check out that video and the code for that if you're interested. But that's why it's not just a regular link tag. So for this, I think we'll just do this in DevTools first, just to get an idea of what it's going to look like. Do I not have... I actually don't think I even have a font size set for this. This is just the default font size. Interesting. Alright, so let's see. This is up from... It's just a bit bigger. 18... It's 18 pixels. Let's try to go 20. 20 doesn't look too bad. I do think it needs a bit more room at the top. I think it's not bad. I don't want this to be overwhelming. So I think if we just move it down a bit, bump it up to 20 pixels, I think that'll work, especially since this is smaller now. We'll probably go a bit smaller with that font. I think that's decent. So let me find that. I've given this a class of FUS branding. So we'll just move this. I did change this to 16, and we'll add... Wow, the indentation stuff is crazy. I had a package for Atom that was auto-indenting everything for me, and it was awesome, but it was messing up the... so we're using Prettier, and then... So it was messing up stuff with Prettier, so that basically, like, it was changing the positioning in all my files, and it would look like I had something to commit to get, when all that had happened is my Atom plugin had changed the formatting from what Prettier had made it, and it just kept flipping back and forth. So I disabled it, but now my auto indenting is gone. So I'll have to sort that out. All right. You hear that? That was I have an 8-month-old, and that was her in the background yelling for me. So, okay. So let's make this a bit smaller. This is starting, I mean, this is getting to the point where I think it's close. Also, there's just like, there's a little weirdness of, I've gotten used to so used to the other one, anything I do now is going to look weird at first to me. So once I get over that, I think I'll be able to look at this a bit more objectively and see whether or not it works. But I think that maybe just a bit smaller on that size, and then maybe move it down a little. Yeah, and I think that'll work. Okay. Yeah, that's not too bad. Let me know what you think in the live chat if you haven't already. Oh, awesome. Patrick just said in the live chat they have a Prettier Atom plugin. That's great. I'll have to check that out. Oh, Aim High joined us. Hey, how's it going? Aim High says, I just followed you on Twitter. Awesome. So I'll definitely I'll check that out. Uh, in I think the last stream or one of our recent streams, Aim High said like told us about a new job. So did you start yet, or were you starting? I can't remember if you said when you were going to start or not. If you did start, how is it? All right, Umberto says it almost seems like there needs to be something in the space to the right of the brand to balance out the slogan, but it might be weird. Yeah, I'm with you. Like it does look a little weird. Maybe if I move this in and make it bigger, it'll balance a bit. Yeah, let me try that. Let me make sure I bring over the changes that I made. And let's see. Oh, okay. AMI is going to start on Monday the 3rd. All right. Well, good luck. I hope everything is awesome at your new job. Super excited about that. Oh, Isaiah asks, why is it better to convert the website to React.js? So while I'm adjusting the size here, I'll talk a little bit about that. React has a lot of advantages. In this case, for me, converting it from a static site to React meant that it was going to be a lot easier for me to import the data. So on a static, I wanted to import the data from WordPress. That was the plan all along. The static site was like a backup plan to say, okay, well, the deadline's really tight. It's way faster for me to just code all this out than to either try to make a WordPress theme or make the React site that I eventually wanted to. So that was just kind of the backup plan, that I know I could get this out. But the problem with that is, if you wanted to update that static site, I had to go in and update it in the code. There are like student workers who work for the Catechetical Institute that need to be able to update it, and they don't have any experience with code. So the content needed to come from a content management system. So with React, I can easily build a component, and those components can then I can render all the data into those components. Specifically, when I'm using Next.js, I can pull in the data and render it server side. So then it's great for search engine optimization. If I were to just like try to turn my static site and like do some custom, JavaScript templates for that, and pull that in client side, I would have no search engine optimization. All right, and just so for me specifically, those are a big deal. But this, in general, React is really a nice way to do things, especially if you need things to happen on your site where there's going to be changes to the DOM. Instead of doing it all with jQuery, which is what people, I guess, would normally do, React has a different way of doing things, and it keeps like this alternate version of the DOM, and it compares the two to only change things that need change instead of re-rendering everything. So you end up getting better performance when things change on your site. The other things too, like it does client-side routing, nicely. So you notice like you click around on the site, there's not page refreshes. So there's just so many cool things that React does really well. And it's not that you couldn't do it. It's not that I couldn't have done all that stuff with a static site, but it would have been really complicated for me to do it on my own. And then trying for somebody else to try to keep up with that would have been insane. Like, if I made my own custom routing solution and all that, and I probably would have done it given the time frame. I would have used jQuery, so it would have been very hard to maintain. I'm sure there's other benefits to React too that I'm forgetting or that I don't know about, but I can't find in DevTools this background. There we go, finally. So let's move this in a bit and make it bigger. And then let's move it back over a bit now. I'm just thinking if we do it like this, I'll probably bring that down. I was hoping that would make it seem like there's definitely not as much space there, but it still doesn't exactly look right. To be honest with you, if I could just lose the tagline, I think it would look fine, but I can't. Like, there's no way they'll let me take the tagline out. I would actually love to get rid of the tagline, because then I wouldn't have to import this font, which I only import for this tagline. If anyone can think of a better place to put this tagline that still appears near the top, let me know, because that I think is really what's causing the issue for us right now, is that this is just kind of like odd. Alright, so I am going to save the few things that I did here. And definitely need to think about that tagline some more. So I'm probably going to wrap up the video soon. Definitely significant change here, but I'm to a point now where I think I really just need to think about, I don't know about you, but when I get, like, I like to mess around like this, but at some point, like, I just need to close my eyes and, like, picture what this is going to look like. And sometimes I actually just, like, use a pen and paper and jot it down. And sometimes that's better than just continuing to make adjustments. And I think I'm getting to that point where I need to just kind of visualize what this could be. I don't think it's not terrible, but I don't, this is the home page. This is the first thing people are going to see. I want it to look really, really good. And this just, to me, does not look really good. So I'm going to finish up with the actual, like, CSS changes here. I'm going to go back to the live chat. I'm going to go through and try to answer all the questions I can. So if you have a question, throw it in there now. And then I'm going to wrap it up. I know I said at the beginning I didn't want this to be a super long video, and it has ended up being a pretty long video. I just kind of didn't want to have this giant video that was of low quality, but I guess too late for that. So I'm gonna scroll back up to the top of the live chat now, and I'll tell you the chat has gone on long enough that I have missed out on some of the stuff that was at the very top. So I don't think I missed out on too much, but just in case, if I do miss your question, throw it in the comments or message me on Twitter. So you say, all right, someone says, Indranil says hello from India. Hey, how's it going? Let's see. Wow, someone says it was 1:35 a.m. where they were at, and that was at the start of the video. So thanks for watching so late. Okay, so I'm still scanning through. I did stop quite a few times and go through live chat, so I have answered a lot of these already. But I'm just looking for something that I missed, or maybe just didn't answer as fully as I could have. Also, if you don't care for the Q&A session and you're just here for the CSS stuff, thanks so much for watching. I'll be back. I will be back next week if you want to join in, usually around 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Monday and Tuesday I will not be streaming. Monday I will be at a wedding. My boss is getting married, so I'll be at his wedding. And then Tuesday is a holiday here in the U.S., so I won't be working. I'll be at a picnic at my grandfather's house. So for everybody in the U.S., happy 4th of July for that day. So I'll be back on Wednesday, though, assuming I don't have some meeting that time, and if so, then I'll just change the normal time, and I'll send out a message on Twitter. Wow, I'm scrolling, and I'm still not seeing anything that I didn't address yet, so I guess I did a decent job of watching the live chat this time. Let's see. I thought I saw something, but it wasn't directed to me. Oh, okay, here's a question I missed. So Shashank Mishra says, "Hey Jesse, I just started with JavaScript. Which backend language should I learn it with?" This was asked a while ago, so hopefully you're still tuning in. But just for anybody else that might have a similar question as well, if you're learning JavaScript, you don't actually need to learn a backend language with JavaScript, because you could use JavaScript on the server side as well. So you could use Node. It depends on what you want to do, though. So, like for instance, let's say you wanted to work with WordPress, then learn PHP. Do you want to work with Microsoft stuff like .NET Framework? Then learn C#. Do you want to develop? Do you want to end up developing for mobile? You know, for Android, Java, or actually, what's the new thing now? I think it's called Kotlin. So you might want one of those. But then again, you could always just use React Native and then just learn JavaScript. So depending on what you want to do, the answer is going to be different. But if you don't have anything in particular in mind, I personally would just stick with JavaScript, learn that really well, and learn server-side, so learn Node, and then you'll be good. You can build entire applications just with JavaScript. But otherwise, if you have the time and you want to learn something, then just figure out what you want to do, and then pick the backend language based on that. Dimitri says, "Great videos, helps a lot. Thanks, Jesse." Awesome. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate you watching too. Joshua says, "What do you like to use for accepting credit card payments with React?" Actually, I've never done an e-commerce site with React. I have done a couple that were just like straight up WordPress sites. I've used I think I've used Stripe, obviously PayPal. Everybody's used PayPal before, and I use Authorized.net. So those are, I think, the three that I've worked with. Of the three, the hardest to work with is probably Authorized.net. Stripe is super simple to work with. PayPal is pretty simple as well. So it might just come down to the rates, really, if you're doing it. Because, and this, of course, like I said, I haven't done it with React. So I don't know if any of those would be harder to work with in React, but at least for what I had to do with them in WordPress, which, to be honest, was mostly plugin based. So it's not like I was hard coding like PHP or anything. So, but I found Stripe and PayPal to be the easiest. And this was a few years ago, the last time I had to do an e-commerce site. So, just keep that in mind when you consider my answer. And Ahmed said, oh, okay. Ahmed was having it's like a side discussion with someone else, so I'll skip that. Let's see. Oh, James, way back an hour ago, James said, asked what's happening. Actually, I think I did see that. I think I addressed that question. So for a second, I felt really bad. Because James says, "Hey, I'm a noob here. What's happening?" So I really, really, especially like to answer people who are new, answer their questions, so that they feel welcome right off the bat. XD said, "We have a nerds meeting here." I didn't see that the first time, but. Okay, looks like there's a decent conversation going on about React Native. So the video is already really long. I'm not going to read everything out, but that was awesome. If you're watching the recording and you haven't got a chance to join in live, I definitely recommend it if you ever get a chance, because there's so many very knowledgeable people in the live chat that provide so much help. If you ask a question, they're just really great. It's kind of a nice little community that's developed in the live chat, and they're super helpful and super nice. So join in if you can. Joshua asks, have you had any success with Stripe in React? Okay, this is so as I said earlier, I have not done any e-commerce with React, not yet. Okay, Patrick asks, what NPM module lets you use class instead of class name? Let me check really quick, because where is that? I had brought up contributors. I know it was in was it Dan? I think it was Danny that contributed that. Let me see. I was hoping it would link right to that here. Can I see it here? I guess not. I guess I'll just check my package JSON. I don't remember offhand, but I'm sure if I see it, I'll remember right away. So let's check in here. Oh, here we go. Babel plugin React HTML attribute to ATTRS. So I don't know if you could see that one. That's the one. And then I think there was some configuration, maybe in this Babel RC. Yeah, so I had to add this in as well. I didn't add this in. Patrick added. I'm pretty sure. Not Patrick. Danny added this in. I'm pretty sure that was the pull request from Danny. So anyway, but it's really helpful. So thanks for that pull request. And that's the module. and I'm pretty sure it does work. It's not just for class; it's for the other attributes as well. So I'm gonna get spoiled by it, and then work on a project where I don't have it, and then mess it up. But it's really cool for now. Okay, cool. It looks like pretty much everybody was saying that the resolution was fine. So that's good to know. Maybe I finally got the right settings here, and I can actually stream from home. So I'm gonna check out the video later on and play it back and just kind of see what the quality was. But if it's decent, then maybe I will be able to stream from home. So that's really good because then it doesn't really matter. The only thing that was bothering me about not being able to go in to work to do my work was just not being able to stream. So if I can do it from home, then IT can take their time and block GitHub for as long as they want, and I'll enjoy working from home. Someone who's I can't read this name because it's not in like my normal alphabet. Uh, it says what the hell in here? So I was not sure. You know what? I bet that this person joined in right when I had my style.css file open. So that was the appropriate response. So okay. Looks like I'm seeing like a few different comments of just kind of adjusting things. So I'm going to save. I'm going to look over that later when I finish up these adjustments. But I'm going to skip over it for now so I can make sure I get to everybody's questions. Man, I was just getting hammered today with all the comments. I'm never showing my style.css file on a stream again. This is like Patrick says, I've never seen a mini map with a scroll bar before. So I'm just messing around. You're fine. I can take it, and I agree with you. XD says, I prefer to be refactoring while coding. So, yeah, this was in response, I think, when I was talking about saying I just kept putting off actually, organizing everything the way it should be. I really do, too. Like, I like to refactor, like, immediately after I get it working and everything, and then refactor. But these are all things that are best practices that you all are mentioning. And so I did not follow those for this project. Oh, okay. Some people were asking about the. Let me go back to here. This image. So it's actually this is called a monstrance. So MONSTRANCE, a monstrance. So I guess it sounded like I was saying monster. So yeah, so it's actually a monstrance. So I had a few questions about that in the live chat. So this is in the middle here is what's called the Eucharist. So I mean, this is like in terms of Catholicism, this is like the most important thing about like the entire worship. Like, have you ever been to a Catholic like worship ceremony. It's called a mass, and this is like the highlight. So anyway, I mean, I don't want to go into a big discussion here because this is a coding thing, but basically just know that these monstrances are supposed to be like very beautiful because it holds something very important. So that's what this is a picture of. So in terms of the Catechetical Institute, their audience for this are going to be people who work within the Catholic Church. So they're going to, like, immediately when they see this, it's going to be a very powerful image for them. So that's why we wanted to include it right here, and it was important. But yes, but it's not monster. It is a monstrance. And to be honest with you, the word just probably came from Latin, and I know quite a bit of Latin, but right now I can't tell you what that word originally came from. But anyway, let's see. Okay, so we have some comments about the tagline and things. So, okay, so we're asking about, like, potentially could we make this smaller and then put this tagline under it? I was kind of thinking about that, but do I think that we want to keep it bigger, but it may, if I can't think of anything else, that may be something we go to, is to just have this as a very small kind of image in the top and have this under. Well, I'll have to try it out, but I'm pretty sure that this looks better when it's bigger, but we'll see. There's definitely room for kind of, you know, messing around with it, I guess. Alan says bless you, so I don't know. I guess that was directed to me, so thank you. Isaiah says, how do you come up with designs for your website? Basically, so I start off everything. The basis for all the designs is material design. So Google's design framework is called Material Design. If you haven't checked it out, just type it into a Google search. The first thing that comes up most likely will be Google's documentation on material design. Really nice. I really like it. The more I learn about it and get into it, the more I appreciate it. So that's the basis for my design. I like it because it's a pretty standard thing. It's used for a lot of sites. So from a user's perspective, the design patterns will be familiar. The way the UI works will be familiar. So I like that if a user comes to one of my sites, they'll see things that they've most likely seen on other sites or apps. So it just, I don't know, I think it just makes things a little bit more comfortable for the user. For me, it gives me the benefit of not having to make every single decision about the design. So I start from there, and then I adapt based on what the needs are. So, you know, whatever the client or whoever that I'm working with, whatever they need, sometimes I do have to adapt things to accommodate that. Or sometimes they have very distinct, like, preferences for style that I try to blend as best I can with material design principles. So not every single thing on the site will follow material design spec exactly, because occasionally I need to kind of be a little bit flexible to be able to try to blend the style that the client wants with that. But for the most part, I do try to follow material design styles. And then when I'm actually thinking about design stuff, sometimes, like, I just throw it on there and just move it around, see how it works. I like to draw things out on paper. I'm a terrible, terrible artist when it comes to drawing, but I can at least get like a visual of where things are laid out. So I wouldn't consider myself a designer, but I do have to do design work. So that's kind of like my process for design, and I've never undergone any, like, formal training for design or anything, so I'm sure that there are more efficient ways of doing that. But this is just what I've kind of developed out of necessity of having to do this. Sudansu, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Sorry if I've mispronounced your name. Asks, can you please suggest some tutorial for Python and Django? I don't know about Django, but for Python, Udacity's Intro to CSS course is done all in Python, and I like that course, so that might be something that you might want to check into, and then supplement that with something that's more Django specific as well. Alexander says hello. Hey, how's it going? Matt says the Django website actually has a really good intro tutorial. Cool. J503 Cool says it kind of looks like an old school WordPress design. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. The header to me, especially when I've shrunk it like this, does look more old school than. So like that, the header as it currently is. This does not look like an old school design, but this is starting to look more like an old school design. I didn't realize it until you said it, but as soon as I saw that comment, I totally agree. And now I feel terrible about it. I guess there's... Yeah. Now I like it so much less now that you said that. We'll see. Maybe I'll have to think about it even more, but... I mean, at the end of the day, like, I just need to include these out. Basically, every element that's in here right now has to be in there somewhere. So I have to include them all. I can do some rearranging of things, but as long as they're all in there, it should be okay. So I guess we have some room. If anyone has any other suggestions, as long as everything's included, it might actually work. So let me know. But yeah, I'll have to think about that. This ended up being more difficult than I'd anticipated. Hopefully the end result is worth it, though. I might do an alternate version where the change is less drastic, where maybe I just shrink everything slightly if I can't get this one to work. And then maybe it'll work. It'll work better like that. But anyway, I think that's it for today. And yeah, we've definitely dropped below our normal amount of viewers at this point. So thank you for watching, and I won't be back for a while. So next Wednesday will probably be the next time I do a stream. So have a great weekend, everyone. And if you're in the United States, have a great holiday next week. And let me know if you have any questions. I'm available to answer anything on Twitter or any other social media stuff. And thank you so much for watching today.